Hello YouTubers and fellow hams. Well, I'm trying something new here. I've got multiple recording streams going, and we're going to talk about setting up Linux for ham radio use. Now, I had a user request that I do this. He was talking about wanting to use his Raspberry Pis. And I don't have a Raspberry Pi presently set up that I could do desktop recording with it, but I've installed Debian to a virtual machine, which you can see below. And Debian, that way? Yeah, that way. I'll figure this out. This is new. Debian is the source desktop that Raspbian, which is the Raspberry Pi version, is built on. So everything I show you in here should be the same as what you would do and see on a Raspberry Pi. So, this is a fresh install. I haven't done a thing with it. What we are going to do is we're going to configure software installation, install a bunch of ham software, and I'm going to talk about the serial port for rig control and a couple of things you have to do there. We're probably going to have to get into the terminal at least twice, but only twice. So, Linux. Linux is an OS that's put together by a community, just average folk around the world that get together and work together and build a desktop OS. It's all open sourced, which means that everybody can see the source code, which makes it actually more secure, because as people try to get something nefarious in there, for example, with the Linux kernel, the NSA has tried in the past to get their own binary blobs inserted into the kernel. And every time it's been caught by the hundreds to thousands of people that audit the code before it gets published. There are groups that all they do is security. They just look at all the source code that's out there, and they look for people trying to put malware, viruses, or whatever else in. And that's like a sport for them, and they catch them all the time. So it's very clean code. As far as software goes, the way Linux works, the same servers that the OS is hosted on, they will compile hundreds upon hundreds of open source software projects and make them available in what's called a package format. Now, a package is like a binary zip file or compressed file that contains not only the program, but also information about what dependencies it needs, what libraries and such. And you have a program running on your desktop called a package manager, and that package manager manages everything that's installed on your system. You use it then to go out and install fresh or new software that you want from the servers at the group that organized the OS. So for Debian, the Debian organization has a massive data center with servers, and all this software is there. And your package manager running on your desktop can go out and pull down software. So you have thousands of programs available to you, and all you need to do is click to install. The package manager is called Aptitude, or APT, apt for short. It comes installed on most modern Linux systems. It's not the only package manager. There's one called Yum that's on some of the Linux distributions, but by far Aptitude is the most popular, and it's what you're going to have in Raspbian, or Ubuntu, or Linux Mint, or Xubuntu, or most of the other popular distributions. So what I'm talking about here will apply. So, to install, we would use Aptitude. Now, like I said, it's a terminal-based program. Most people don't like using the terminal, I get that. But there is a graphic front end for it. So, this is one of two times that we'll have to go into the terminal. But let's do this. To install, we're going to install a program called Synaptic. Synaptic is the graphic front end for Aptitude that lets you browse software. It makes it much easier to find things. So to install that, we're going to type sudo, which stands for super user do. That means do the following command as root. Root's the administrative user, the God user on the system. It can do everything. So sudo apt-get, this is the Aptitude program, install Synaptic, Now, I'll pause. You can pause the video there if you need to write that down. So when I hit enter, it's going to ask me for my password. And in my case, it's telling me that Synaptic is already installed. But what you would see is you would see it installing the program. Okay. So once Synaptic is installed, we can run Synaptic. So we'll go to the menu and we'll go to different menu system. Okay, I don't know how the menu is going to look on the Raspberry Pi, but usually under Administration or Preferences, you're going to find Synaptic Package Manager. So we'll click that. It'll ask us for our password or the root password in my case. So enter the password it's asking for. It's probably going to be your user password. And now this only comes up once to tell us what the program is. So this is the Synaptic Package Manager. This provides you a list of all the available software on the servers that your OS group maintains, or the Debian servers, which a lot of them pull from. And there are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of programs. And let's see, here we got 42,461 packages listed. Now, a lot of these are libraries in the background support software for actual programs. This also tells you that, well, we've got 1,808 installed on this computer already. And those, again, are probably mostly going to be libraries and support software. So the list is huge. But over here, it's organized into categories. And you can go and click on a category, and you can browse software for that category, right? Like, for example, if I move up here, amateur radio. Let's click on that. Now here we're going to have a list of all of the programs that are related to amateur radio. And we'll go to one that everybody knows right off the bat, FLDIGI. See right there. Digital modem program for ham radio operators. And when I click on it, I get a bigger description down here. And in some cases, I can click on this Get Screenshot, and we'll see a screenshot of the program pop up, which is, nice. Oh, close. There we go. So I want to install FLDIGI. I check this box, mark for installation. It'll tell me what's going to be installed, and these are all of the extra libraries and support files needed for FLDIGI. That's where the package manager is nice. It's going to go out and get everything that the program needs, as well as the program itself. So I hit mark. FLRig is a rig control program that FLDIGI likes to work with, so we'll install that as well. What else do we have in here that we might want? Well, there's a logging program. GQ, where are you? Oh, hey, here's one you might want. gpredict, great satellite tracking program. So we'll install gpredict. I'm looking for that, let's see, GQRX is SDR. Where's a logger? Well, we could do this. Search logbook. Well, that gave us a lot of results, didn't it? How about if we search for ham radio logbook? There we go. CQR log. Mark that for installation. And again, all the dependencies are chosen for us. Let's go back here to all. Oh. I think that's going to be good to start with. But anyway, clear our search. Anyway, Synaptic is nice. It lets you browse the available software, find things, and check to install things. Then all I have to do is hit apply. It also gives you the option to mark all upgrades that are available. As far as upgrading the system, as bug fixes and that are released, you can do it manually in here. Let's see, one other thing to talk about in Synaptic. Go to Settings and go to Repositories. If it's a fresh install, this version of Synaptic doesn't have it. Okay, your version of Synaptic may have tabs, and one of the tabs will say Other Software, and there'll be a checkbox for partners. You want to check that, or check the non-free software, just to get the extra. There's extra stuff, extra libraries and things that MP3 encoding stuff, and things that they can't release officially for free within their group, but they can link to. So you'll want to check those things. So anyway, we've checked the software that we want to install. We just hit apply. And it'll give us a summary to be installed. This is what we're installing. And I hit apply. And it will go and it will download the packages for us and it will install them for us. We can look at the activity here and watch it happening. Yeah, that was any special things that need additional information to install will pop up a window like this. Configuring my SQL Server, which is used by the logbook program, and they want you to enter a password for its root user. You probably should. Just so you can have security. Oh yeah, okay. If you ever need to get into the MySQL database, if you're really advanced, then you'll need that password. Most of you probably won't need that password, but put one in anyway. Pick whatever you want. So the installation proceeds. We can hit details to watch the programs actually being installed if we want to. It shouldn't take long. Once this is done, we will have those programs available to us on our menu. So I'm going to skip ahead to where the installation finishes. Oh, maybe not. It just finished. All right, close. Okay, so Synaptic is how we'll install software. Now, I've installed FLDIGI, so if I go up here to my, my menu, I should find FLDIGI in here somewhere. Let's see, Internet Office Sound. Other? No. Okie dokie. All applications, FLDIGI. Depending upon the desktop that comes with Raspbian, you might have a ham radio menu appear over here. I have to go to all applications, but you probably will have a ham radio menu, and you can just go to there and find FLDIGI. I'm using Cinnamon, which is not my favorite desktop, but anyway, FLDIGI. Then you'd go through the FLDIGI setup, which is straightforward. It's going to ask for your call sign, name, QTH, and all that. Devices. I like to use port audio because you can choose what you're using for capture and playback directly. If you have a signal link or a homebrew USB interface, it will show up here for capture and playback. So I always choose port audio for the device. Hardware, push to talk. If I'm using a USB audio interface, I don't need to do anything in here. Ignore rig control for now. Next, next, finish. There's FLDIGI. Alrighty, let's launch FLRig and let's talk about rig control. FLRig, configure, setup, transceiver. Okay, I'm gonna pick, I have an FT817, so we'll pick that. Serial port, none. All right. Accessing the serial port under Linux. Now this is a gotcha for a lot of people. When I've plugged in a serial interface, it's going to show up under here as /dev tty USB 0. I don't have one plugged in right now, but let's just pick serial port 0, which would, if you had a hardware serial port on your computer, that's what that would be. So you pick your serial device here, baud rate for your radio and all that, but this is not going to work. And I'll tell you why this is not going to work. In Unix and in Linux, the security model from the old mainframe days is brought over. And back in the mainframe days, there was no internet, and networking was rare, and the way you accessed other systems was through dial-up modems on telephone lines, which were connected to serial ports. So to maintain security and to prevent just anybody from dialing out and running up a phone bill, they actually had a Linux or Unix group for dial-out access. And if you're not a member of that group, and in the OS, I'm talking about security in the OS, if your user ID is not a member of that group, you can't access the serial port. And by default, a lot of Linux installations, you don't have that opportunity. You don't have that option. So right now, I can't access the serial port on this Debian install. And if I tried to get rig control working, it would just fail, and I'd be scratching my head for hours. Well, here's how you fix it, okay? So we're going to go back into the terminal. All right, this is the second time. Remember I said you have to get in the terminal twice? This is the second time, okay? All we need to do is add ourselves to the dial-out group. That's what the group is called, dial-out. And this is how you do it. sudo, for super user do, user mod, which is lowercase, case is sensitive in Unix, dash small a, space, dash capital G, that means add to a group name, dial out in lowercase, and your username. So whatever username that you're using to log into the system, okay? And it remembered my password from the last sudo command I did, but it might ask for your password, and then boom, we're done. Now I am a member of the dial out group, and I'll be able to access the serial port after I log out and log back in. So I'm going to close FLRig here. I'm going to close FLDIGI. I'm going to go to the menu, and I am going to, I don't want to shut down. Well, I guess I could restart. I really just want to log out. How do we do that under Cinnamon? Oh, log out, leave session. Okay, so I'm going to log out, and I'm going to log back in. Okay, now I have access to the serial port, and I will continue to have access to the serial port, and things like rig control will work. So if I go in and run FLRig now, and I've got my radio hooked up, and I've configured it to use the right serial port, like I said, if you use a serial adapter, it's going to be TTY capital USB 0. But if I've set all this up and I hit init, it should work, and I'll get my rig. I don't have anything plugged into this virtual machine, so I can't show you, but that's what you need to do. And then other ham radio software. Well, let's go back into Synaptic Administration, Synaptic Package Manager, Amateur Radio Software Group. There's a ton of stuff in here. Look through the list, see what you might like to play with. Some useful things are obviously FLDIGI, FLRig for rig control. Logging, there's CQRL log, or what is it? CQR log is a really good one. FLDIGI will talk to that for automatic logging. Another one is Xlog that is more simplistic, but I kind of like it. For slow scan TV, if you want to play around with that, there is QSSTV, which is a really nice slow scan TV program. And it also does DRM, Digital Radio Mondale, so you can do DRM stuff as well as slow scan TV, so that's kind of fun. Oh, let's see, Predict. Well, actually, you'd want gpredict. Is a nice satellite tracking program. I've done a video on that. There's study tools for studying for amateur radio exams. There's all kinds of specialized stuff like Smith chart calculator. G-Rig is another rig control program. Yeah, just browse through here. Look and see what you can find that you might like. There's all kinds of stuff. There's, WSJTX is right here. All I have to do is click and hit mark for installation, and it'll install it for us if we want to run JT9, JT65, and Whisper. So that's nice. That's what's nice with the package management system. Most of the stuff you're going to want is already already here, and all you got to do is just click on it and say install and apply, and you've got it. So there you go. That's a rough beginner configuration for Linux for ham radio. I might do some more videos along this line, looking more deeply at the individual applications actually over in my live setup on the radio, if there's interest. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments below. I do check the comments and I reply to them when I can. And always happy to help if I can. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not already a subscriber, click to subscribe. Join us on the Facebook channel for discussion about the videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please click to support me on my Patreon page.